You absolutely got to be kidding me with that shot that Malik Monk just hit. This is probably the most disappointing game of the year so far for the Pistons. Really just a total collapse in the second half, up by 14 at halftime. They come out of halftime in the third quarter and only score 18 points. So it's tied up. You squandered a 4-point lead in one quarter's time, and then you end up losing the game because in the total second half, you get outscored by 17 points. What's really frustrating is looking at the box score. There's a lot of things that you still like from the game on the Pistons end. They shot pretty well as a team, just about 50%. Langston Galloway had a huge game off the bench, scored 32 points, 11 to 16, hit 7 threes. Derrick Rose, besides that horrifying pass at the end to nobody, which set up Malik Monk's buzzer-beating, game-winning shot. He played great, 16 off the bench, 6 of 7, knocked down 2 threes of his own, 3 assists. And the starters, Blake didn't play well really at all. 1 of 8 from 3, 6 of 19. You need way more than that from him. Andre Drummond, it's crazy to call this a quiet night, but it sort of is from his standards. 16 points, 20 boards, 8 of 16. They weren't able to get to the line a lot, but when the Pistons did get to the line, here's what you like. They went 11-11 from the free throw line. You want to see more than 11 attempts, but if you're only going to take 11 attempts, you can't obviously make more than 11 free throws. And again, their total shooting, they shot well from 3-2, 15 to 35, about 43% as a team. All of that's lovely. What killed them this game and has killed them in games past is the turnovers. They had 19 turnovers, and, it's from the usual culprits. Blake had 4, still trying to get in the fold with him and Derrick Rose being back after their rest off of, that tail end of the back-to-back. Blake comes in with 4 turnovers. Andre has 4 turnovers. I think Derrick Rose, looking here, Derrick Rose had 6. Markieff Morris had 3. And again, 19 as a team compared to the Hornets, who only had 10 turnovers, excuse me. And that's really where the game was won and lost, because other than that, if you're just looking at, the shooting percentages, the Pistons across the board, they really smacked the Hornets in it. Again, the Pistons shot 50%, the Hornets just about 45, Pistons 43% from deep, the Hornets 37, Pistons obviously 100% from the free throw line, and the Hornets just about 63%. So this was all set up for a Pistons win, but when you turn the ball over literally almost twice as many times as the opposition, that's never a game that you're going to end up winning. Sammy says, Detroit Nation, that proves to you that this team is literally not going anywhere, and it's really bad basketball team. They look so slow and old. They're not actually that old, I don't think. Andre Drummond's still really young. He's 25, 26, and Blake's obviously an older player. Derrick Rose isn't old, but he's obviously broken down from the injuries that he's had. Markieff Morris, again, not a guy who's tremendously old, by basketball standards. Brian Stillman, this team has no heart. That's probably a more fair criticism than the team is old. But coming out of the third quarter, you have a 14-point lead going into halftime, and if from that aspect, you can kind of understand and see, because you see it with other NBA teams where they don't come out with that same fire, of course, as a team down by 14, but to come out and just lay that big of an egg when the only way that you're going to lose this game and 14 points isn't an insurmountable lead, but really the only way you lose a 14-point lead in 2 quarters is by taking your foot off the gas. And that's exactly what the Pistons did. And, they can't afford to do it, because before tonight they were 4-8. And, they come away from this game, obviously, with another loss at 4-9. And it comes to a team that they should be better than, but a team that was right there with them. So coming in, the Pistons, again, 4-8. The Hornets were 4-7. So they're really bunched up in the standings. And the standings might not mean much right now, but you also have to take into account we're about 1/8, into the NBA season. So as we get to kind of that quarter mark, and even that halfway mark, that's when, the games start to matter a little bit more, and you need wins. I don't think that there's a whole lot of doubt that the Pistons are still a playoff team, but those people that did have doubts that the Pistons weren't going to make the playoffs, this has definitely done more to, add fuel to their fire than it does for people like me who thought they'd kind of be safely into the playoffs. Someone explained to me where Kennard is supposed to be any good, such as a bust draft pick. That's not true. Luke Kennard, he didn't play well tonight, and he seems less aggressive when he's playing with guys like Blake, and Drummond are out there on the court. I think he's still better served to come off the bench. The Pistons just really don't have that type of luxury now. But Luke Kennard's gotten better every year that he's been in the league. He's become a better passer, and he generally shoots the ball pretty well. So tonight's game wasn't on him, although he was less aggressive. He only took 5 shots in the 37 minutes that he played, and ball handling and his distributing ability has been it's better, and it's been something that's kind of an added plus for the Pistons. You get Luke Kennard to score the basketball. That's why you want him on your team. You want him shooting those shots because he does have such a nice stroke. Besides Langston and Andre Drummond, he played the most minutes tonight, 37 minutes, again, only 5 shots. And, interestingly enough, probably because he was moving the ball around, he had by far the highest plus minus on the team. And plus minus can, of course, be like a flawed stat. But he was plus 18, and the next closest person was Tony Snell, who left the game, and he was plus 7. But that's where it can be misleading because with Tony Snell being a plus 7, he only played 9 minutes. He didn't have any points, and he only had, 1 rebound and 1 personal foul. So Shea was in here. Yeah, Grilby. But I mean, it's just a disappointing game in kind of in totality for the Pistons. And we talked about Drummond's game a little bit. Again, 16 and 20, a very Drummond-esque stat line. But the things that people get on Andre Drummond for, and the detractors, what kind of shined tonight was before Malik Monk hit the game-winning 3. Marvin Williams hit a 3. The Pistons were up 3, and then Marvin Williams hit a 3 from the corner to tie the game. Derrick Rose went down, threw the ball out of bounds. The Hornets got the ball back and put up the 3-pointer that won the game. And on the 3-pointer that Marvin Williams hit before the sequence where Derrick Rose threw it out of bounds, Andre Drummond really for no reason went to go, and he didn't really seem to have a sense of urgency to try and double team Devontae Graham. But I believe it was Graham who got the rebound and then kicked it out to Marvin Williams, who Andre Drummond left, and then he was able to hit the 3. So I mean, if Andre is going to leave Marvin Williams, one, you shouldn't have, because Devontae Graham at the time, he wasn't in a position to go ahead, and he wasn't in position to really make a play at that point. And just kind of holding the ball and just looking around. He wasn't looking like he was about to attack and go up. And Drummond just kind of walked over to him instead of, got the double team, tried to get his hands on the ball, even tried to block a shot that he thought may have been coming. He walked over to him. Devontae Graham saw Marvin Williams in the corner, kicked it out to him. The corner shot is, of course, the shortest 3. And Marvin Williams is a guy that's been in the NBA, it seems like forever now. And he's going to make that shot more often than not. So that was, some of the effort things that people kill Andre Drummond for. And a lot of it this year has been unfair, but you've still seen pockets and flashes of it where Andre doesn't have that urgency, especially on the defensive end. And then it ends up hurting the Pistons. Tonight, it probably hurt them more than it did in any other game, just because of the situation that they ended up finding themselves in. John Connors, that's a cool name. One is obviously no part of the Terminator name, but 2, there's a rapper from Flint named John Connor who is exceptionally talented. But John Connors says, not a playoff team right now, way too many turnovers, and durability is killer. I mean, if their guys get injured, of course, all bets are off. You can say that about any team, but the Pistons certainly seem to be more injury-riddled and injury-prone than most of the other teams in the East. Andre Drummond's really the only guy that you can count on playing every game, knock on wood. But guys like Blake, they already said they're going to rest, and they've proven that they're going to rest. And then, Derrick Rose's injury history is super well documented. And he's a guy that, again, they've shown and they said that they're going to give, some more rest as well. But, I wonder if they keep, losing. They're 4-9 right now. If they get to a spot where they're like 5-12 or 6-15, and they just really kind of take a nosedive early into the season, I wonder if, those minutes restrictions and rest days are things that they do pull off, or, pull away from, and, just kind of for the logic of, hey, we have to get some wins now, and we have to have our best players on the court as much as they can be on the court, because, it doesn't make any sense to rest these guys for a playoff run that's not going to happen. I hope we don't get to that situation. I want the Pistons to win. I want the Pistons to do well. It certainly makes these post-game shows that we do way more fun when the Pistons come out with a win. We just haven't been treated to too many of those this early in the year. And they only have 4 wins. I think I missed 2 of them from just not being able to do the show because I had something else going on. But it's certainly a bummer to see them lose more than they win. While we do have you guys here, go check out our Sports Carnage podcast. Our link is in the description if you're watching the Facebook Live, or if you're watching this on YouTube. Our Facebook, our podcast links, all of those are in the description section below. So make sure you click on those and go get just go check it out. We have a lot of stuff leading up to the Michigan State game tomorrow, which we should be doing a reaction for as well. And we can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff that, both Pistons related and non-Pistons related. But that is our Sports Carnage podcast, so go check that out. Kyle House says, why did they stop feeding Luke? The rest of the team jealous of the number he's been putting up. No, it's just them trying to integrate Blake back into the offense. It's not a surprise that when Blake comes back, Andre's numbers go down, Luke's numbers go down, and I mean for good reason. It's not like they're just not giving the ball to Luke and saying, hey, you have to stop shooting because you're scoring too many points. You'd rather have the ball in Blake Griffin's hands than Luke Kennard's hands, than Andre Drummond's hands. Even then Derrick Rose's hands, because Blake's your best player. So when Blake's out on the court, everything has to run through him. And it's also the way, the offense is set up, and you're still seeing a little bit of a drop off from how their offense is supposed to run with Reggie Jackson being out, which is why in the spurts that you saw Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin on the court at the same time, that's I think you should personally try and stay away from that as much as you can. It makes all the sense in the world to close the game with it, because a lot of times at the end of the game, you just need guys that can go out there and get you buckets and get you points. But during the course of the game, if you have Blake and Derrick Rose on the court at the same time, one of them is essentially neutralized from what they do best. So let Blake play, basically have Derrick Rose come on when Blake comes off. So you still have that punch of offense that you can always get, and then you just take the good with the bad. Albert Lou, did I miss anything? John Mosley missed the game. Did anyone get hit on the head? No, nobody got a Myles Garrett helmet to the top of their dome. But what you guys did miss is Malik Monk hit like the most contested shot I've ever seen outside of Kawhi Leonard's game-winning shot in the playoffs last year. But he hit the shot against us to win, and it might sting for a little bit more of the core Piston fans, because I know a lot of them in the draft wanted Malik Monk, and I think that's the draft that Luke Kennard went in. But the kind of dream scenario for a lot of Pistons fans was Malik Monk falling to them. It may have been the draft before or after. One of the drafts where the Pistons weren't able to get their hands on Malik Monk. They didn't pass on him, but they had wished that he'd fallen to them. And just off the top of my head, I don't remember what year that was. So. Sammy says it's so frustrating. Diehard Pistons fan here with no freaking hope for the team to go anywhere anytime soon. I think the hope that you have if you're a fan of rebuilding is that they do hit a nosedive and they end up 4-9 right now, So if they end up like 6-15 or 7-20, something like that, where it seems pretty clear that they've dug themselves too big of a hole to then go ahead and, kind of get themselves out of it and, fight for the 8th seed, fight for the 7th seed. That's your hope if you want them to rebuild, is that they take a nosedive early where it's too big to get out of, and then they can sell their pieces when they have their highest value. You can give a team like if they go 7-20, right? As 27 games, 82. So basically a team would be getting like 55 games of Blake Griffin, instead of if you trade him at the trade deadline, where they probably get 35 games ahead of them or out of them or something like that. But there is that would be your hope, is if they nosedive early, the pricing on some of their higher value pieces would probably be at an all-time high, because the playoff teams that would be trading for them would have more time to just kind of incorporate them into their system. And if there's a team, say like Miami, that is in a position to get like a 5th or 4th seed, when coming into the year, a lot of the talk was them fighting it out for like the 7 or the 8. If a team like that can get their hands on Blake Griffin and they've already overachieved, that's a team that you can see making a move. And no, it's not like a light bulb goes off moment, right? Miami's been a team that's at least been rumored to be interested in Blake for a while, just because the fit for them makes a lot of sense. Mason said Malik Monk was drafted in 17. All right, cool. Who did take that draft? 2017. It doesn't even seem like it really matters at this point, but I am curious. 2017 NBA draft. That had to be the Luke year, right? Yeah, Pistons, Luke Kennard, and then they took Malik Monk one spot before us. So I remember I was happy. I thought Malik Monk was going to fall to us, and then it didn't end up happening. But thank you for that, Mason. Mason also says trade him away. These young players will make everyone else obsolete. That's, again, if you're a proponent of the rebuild, I can't really argue that. Hello, Adidas. Trading Blake, trading Andre, trading Reggie, and keeping guys like Luke. Sekou doesn't really seem like he's going to be in any capacity to produce for them this year. And those are the guys that you obviously want to build the future around. But I'm not opposed to, especially if they start off the season just kind of in the toilet. I'm not opposed to tanking and then trying to get one of the higher draft picks. Hopefully a lottery ball bounces your way and you end up with James Wiseman, or even a guy like LaMelo Ball that can help you restart the rebuild and obviously shed some salary too. Albert says the Pistons, with this current core, if they make the playoffs, they're 7th or 8th seed at best, 6th if lucky. Yeah, I think there's and we talked about it before on Pistons post games. So for anyone that's joined us, I've said since the first time that we did this, I thought the Pistons were a 7th or 8th seed in this Eastern Conference with the teams. Ironically, kind of all the teams that I had above them are the teams that have kind of proven, or at least are in those top 6 spots. Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia, obviously, Indiana, and New Jersey are teams I thought would finish above the Pistons, and I think those are the top 6 right now. And then there's a bunch of those 4 and 5 win teams that are just very clustered from like 7 on down to probably there's 15 teams in each conference. Probably like 7 to 12 are maybe like 7 to 13 are a bunch of 4 and 5 win teams. So there's a big cluster where the Pistons are right now, but Charlotte was part of that cluster, and you can't afford to keep losing these games even early in the season, just because at the end those are games that are really going to make something. Mason said that's the thing. We can get some decent youngsters plus extra draft picks. Why wouldn't you? I don't know who do we really be able to get that's a young part of the holdup. I would assume, in like a Miami Blake Griffin deal would be the Pistons asking for Tyler Hero and Miami not wanting to give him up. And it makes sense why they wouldn't, because he's shown flashes as a rookie. of being somebody that's, really kind of Luke Kennard-esque, and he at least is projecting to have a higher ceiling than what Kennard had. So the Pistons, they probably wouldn't be able to get too many decent young players right now, but they could certainly get draft picks, and that's something that I'd be all for. Brooklyn. Oh, did I say New Jersey? Yep. Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets, the Biggie Jersey Nets. So my favorite jerseys in sports. Brooklyn, New York City, where they paint murals of Biggie. But that's pretty much what we have for you guys tonight. It's just getting a deflating loss. If you're a Charlotte fan, I'm sure you were very happy to see you're obviously happy to see the buzzer beater go in. But I was all set for overtime. Blaha and Kelser, they were both set for overtime too. And then even when Malik Monk got the ball, you just looked at it like, all right, he's not about to make the shot because it was well defended at that point. And then he rises up, and it's not even like a lofting shot that goes in. It's not a rainbow. It seemed like it was just a straight line drive, and then boom, he sinks it. And now we're here talking to you guys instead of watching, the end of overtime, which would probably be happening right about now. But be safe. Happy Friday night for everyone that doesn't have to work the weekend. Michigan State game tomorrow. I'm sure you guys are gonna be tuning into that. I am on the green and white side of that fence. So go green, go white, go Pistons. We'll be here for you tomorrow. After that, again, check out our Sports Carnage podcast if you haven't. Facebook, Podbean, Apple Podcast. We're on Twitter. We got a YouTube page now. Yeah, we do. I mean, we're kind of all over the place trying to do it big. Just not Spotify. Don't look for us on Spotify because we're not there. You can look for us, you just won't find us. But that's where you'll find us at Sports Carnage Interaction. Mason says thank you for the interaction. Thank you as well. I'd just be a madman talking here if you guys weren't helping me comment. So I get help just like you guys do. But that's what we have for you guys. Have a good night. Out.